Fellas, say goodbye to Chuck Sherman the boy. I am now a man. I highly recommend you join the club. We are doing the wild thing all night.
Acid house music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sherm.
Sherman, I cooked all this food. Is that all you gonna eat?
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of house music.
So, do you know anything about techno?
No.
Listen.
Get it on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm. Today is Friday, August 9th, 2019. Guys, this is episode 70070 on the dot. This is a big one, I have to say. Tomorrow is also a very big day for the Lavender Group and myself for one main reason. We are bringing in world-renowned DJ producer Hook N Sling. It is my honor to have him on Sherm in the Booth. Earlier this week, I had the chance to actually interview him on the phone. So much fun. What a humble guy. Originally from Australia, he's been living in Los Angeles since about 2012. If you don't know Hook N Sling, do a quick Google search. This guy is fucking awesome. An amazing producer. He has tons of awesome originals. It all kicked off for him in about 2011 with his massive hit Take You Higher. It's actually one of the main reasons I got into electronic music. But since then, he's collabed with Galantis and Sam Felt. He's also had official remixes from Matoma, Cascade, and the Chainsmokers. Not to mention, Mr. Swedish House Mafia himself, Axwell, remixed one of Hook's biggest songs, Tokyo by Night. But enough of me talking, guys. I want to get into this interview. Like I said, Hook is such a genuine guy. I got really into it with music production, what's to come, of course, his home life and what he likes to do in his free time and how he relaxes on the road. So let's get into it right now. Thank you again, Hook, for coming on the show. This is episode 70 of Sherm in the Booth.
Hello.
Hey, Anthony, can you hear me?
Oh, hey, man. Yeah, I can hear you.
How are you, brother?
Good, dude.
How's it going out in LA right now? Where are you coming from?
I just got back from Yosemite actually over the weekend.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. I had a weekend away just to chill. I had like a weekend off. One weekend off this weekend, and I'm back on the road as of like a few days time. So just thought I'd take it, get up and get away for a minute.
Of course, man. Yosemite's beautiful. I was just out in Zion. Have you ever been there before?
Oh, I've heard about that.
Oh, you got to check it out. I've never been to Yosemite, but Zion was beautiful. We went a few months ago. It was early May, so it wasn't too hot, but I love the outdoors, man. I totally relate with you there.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I need to I've been doing a lot of studio stuff lately, so it's been like a good break from being sitting at the desk and doing hours in the studio and stuff.
Of course, man, of course. You got to disconnect. I always tell my friends, sometimes I got to go on a run or outside, no headphones, just clear the mind.
Absolutely, dude.
Is your studio at your house, or do you go somewhere for that then?
It's at home. Yeah. So I'm set up in the living room of my house, so I kind of take over the whole house.
And I saw you have a girlfriend, or is that your wife?
Oh, that's my girlfriend. Yeah.
So she's used to it though.
Well, she doesn't live with me, but when she comes
okay.
over, it's just the living room and the TV room is all just studio gear and stuff. So she's, that's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. My girlfriend, she gets it. If she's over, she's like, all right, I'm here now. It's my time, right? And I'm like, okay, fine. I won't argue with you.
So you from Chicago?
Yeah, man, I'm in Chicago. I'm part of the Lavender Group. We booked you for Saturday. We're so pumped.
Oh, sick, man. Okay, awesome.
Dude, it's going to be great. We've worked with some of the Beat Gig guys previously, and I've been a huge fan of you for so long, and I saw your name on there, and I told my buddy, I was like, dude, we got to get Hook to Chicago. I don't know how much you've looked into the rooftop, but one of the best in the city, very special place. The invites are looking really good, too. We're pumped.
Oh, good, dude. All right, awesome. And then what's the interview today for? Is it like a radio thing, or is it like a written, how do you present this interview?
Absolutely, man. So you're on Sherm in the Booth right now, or Sherm on the phone, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years now. I'm based in Chicago, so I've had tons of different people come on, not just DJs and producers, but people in the health and wellness industry, really anybody who's passionate about what they do. And I figured it was a good way to connect with you as well before we have you come out.
Yeah, cool, man. No, I appreciate it. It's good.
Yeah, and it'll be out on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So we'll probably release it here Friday, kind of as like a little bit of a hype up for Saturday's set.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, man. But we'll get into it. I know you're a busy guy.
That's all right.
Like I said, man, I've been following you for quite some time, so this is kind of a humbled honor for me right now to be talking to you. I got a lot of respect for you. So I mean, I remember in 2010 or 2011, I was just graduating high school, going into college, and that was kind of the big boom of progressive. Back in the days with, of course, your hit "Take You Higher." That's a huge track for me. I got it on the USB since the first day I started using CDJs, actually. But you've been around for so long, man, and you've had so much success. But back in the day, kind of before it happened, I wanted to ask, what was that change in pace like for you initially? After "Take You Higher," the kind of the big boom for you, and how do you keep your creative energy flowing all these years later?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Not really hard, but like I'm a creative person anyway. I used to be a graphic designer before I started production and DJing. So I was kind of like, I always have like a creative mind, and my mind's always like ticking over. Yeah, I mean, going from like design to music was just another part of the creative process. I'm constantly like, I find myself constantly inspired. I'm very lucky like that, where I hear something on the radio, or I'm out in the club and I'm like, oh damn, that sounds good, or I'm kind of just, my mind's always going, like I've always got something bouncing around in my head, like a new idea for a track. So
absolutely.
But I do have my moments where I lack inspiration, and then I've learned through, all my years of production and so forth, that, you don't force those kinds of things. You just kind of like take a break, go for a drive, take the dog out, whatever.
Go to Yosemite.
That's what I do on the weekend, man. So
that's right.
You start knowing yourself, I suppose, in those circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always like to ask people, like, success is kind of, in today's age, who's famous or who's rich or who's popular. But I think the people who do it the longest in music are the people who enjoy it along the way. And success is just something that comes along with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's music's a big part of my life. Like, growing up in my household, like my dad would play like a lot of old records, and I'd be listening to like Led Zeppelin, and my mom would love like Joni Mitchell, like a lot of 70s.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, and then my dad had a guitar lying around the house, which I just picked up and taught myself how to play. But then it never really became like, not work, you know what I mean, but never really took over until like I was working my design job, and I was just like, I just needed more satisfaction with my creativity. So yeah, it's evolved into like, moving to LA and, leaving my family and friends behind in Sydney, which is kind of crazy when I do these interviews and think about like how much has changed.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you've come such a long way. And when did you originally move to LA from Australia then?
That move was 2012.
2012. How do you like LA compared to Australia?
It's different, man. Like I love it. I have to say I love it. I love California. I love LA for me is just kind of like a hub, because to go to the airport and all that. But I'm constantly moving around, so I love exploring California, like San Diego, going to the beach. I used to live on the beach in Sydney, so I find like California is kind of similar to Australia to Sydney in that way. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I know I've had a lot of friends go to Sydney before. I know kind of like, obviously, lifestyle is a little bit different, but California is not really American to me when I go there, especially living in Chicago. I got family in New York too. There's a whole different world there.
Yeah, it really is, man. Well, Australia definitely is a lot more laid back. But you can find parts of, like, if you have a real, like, hunger for success and you want to just do shit that other people aren't doing, like, you can do that in Australia, but you kind of reach a point where, I don't know, people start, there's a bit of tall poppy syndrome. I don't know if you guys call that like that over here, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
People cut you down for, like, either, like, if I told someone in Australia, like, I'm a really good remixer, and I honestly believe that I am. And it's like people in Australia kind of take that the weird way. They're like, oh, he's kind of like big up in himself, and
right.
And I know it's a different kind of culture. Like but I'm quite a humble person. I don't really say that kind of stuff, but giving you an example that people kind of feel weird about, success in Australia.
Really?
It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just that it's like, it's just very different over here. Like you can't be humble in LA. If you want to get somewhere, there's so many people talking shit and trying to give you their business card and tell you that they're the biggest thing going around, that you just kind of have to sort through all that kind of noise,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I suppose there's just less noise in Australia with that kind of stuff.
I think that makes complete sense. I mean, LA, to the outside perspective, of course, is the place where people go to become famous, but it's a lot different when you live there. I mean, a lot of people move there so on a dream. Was the reason you moved there was, like you said, a hub, but also collaborate with other producers, or what's been one of your favorite parts about living there?
Lots of different reasons. I mean, the fact that I'm close to the States and Miami and the West and the East Coast was a big factor. Even though I'm like 13 hours from home, like I'm still able to tour around the States and still get back to Australia, and it's still kind of central here.
Yeah.
And then obviously like being signed to labels, over here, it kind of helps being in the mix, and my management's in LA too. It does make it easier being here, but it's not like essential, but it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the music scene and the radio scene in Los Angeles is huge. I was originally born in Santa Monica, and it's always kind of called my name. I kind of wanted to hang out here in Chicago. It's such a great city, Midwest vibes. I grew up in Indiana, so I hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah, man.
That's how it goes, man. When's the last time you've been in Chicago, then?
Chicago, damn, when was I in Chicago last? I feel like it was kind of recent. Let me think. We'll have to look that up and then put that in the notes or something.
I'm writing it down right now. I'll say it before the interview then.
I'm really bad with that kind of stuff.
I mean, fast-paced lifestyle, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Like I'm not the kind of person that like I'm talking on the phone to my mom back in Australia. She's like, "Where are you going this weekend?" I'm like, I don't know. I know I'm leaving here at Friday at 10 a.m. Like I don't store that information in my brain. I write it down somewhere. It's on a schedule, and I kind of just like during the week I'm doing my studio stuff, and I know the day before I kind of just be like, okay, I'm going to here this weekend and there tomorrow, and it's just kind of how I think about how I play my week out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you kind of answer one of my questions here. It's, some of the biggest challenges you face on the road. How do you prevent that burnout? You said you went to Yosemite, but what about while you're on the road, on a tour? How do you kind of stay grounded?
I don't drink that much, to be honest.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I look after myself. I look after my health. I'm like, I got a good group of friends here in LA that we all hang out, and we kind of stay pretty active together. Like I'm either doing CrossFit or we're going running, or I do a bit of mountain biking as well.
All right.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. I have my music friends, and I also have my other crew, which is kind of like they don't give a shit about what I do. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't talk about music. It's just about food and I don't know, just staying healthy. And I don't know. I focus on that a lot because I enjoy eating well and being active. So then when the weekend comes, I kind of just go with it. Lack of sleep, I'm okay with. I don't really drink a crazy amount. So yeah, I just love writing the music, dude, and playing. So that's I don't let too much other stuff in on that.
Of course, man. And once you do, that's when you kind of lose sight. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about the music, and you enjoy that, and that's what makes you happy.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, though. I can see how, success breeds an unhealthy environment, but, as long as you're aware of it, it's something you can manage, that's for sure.
Absolutely, man. And you mentioned your music. I want to talk a lot about that. What digital audio workspace do you use?
I use Ableton.
Ableton. Have you always been in Ableton?
No, I started off with Pro Tools, and then Pro Tools, and then I went to Ableton after that. But then, because Ableton hasn't always been like the best. I don't know if your listeners are very technical, like, you know, producer and shit like that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Ableton hasn't historically been the best for like summing and mixing down and, you know, getting a precise, good sound. So Pro Tools has always been good for that. So I used to use both. I used to write in Ableton and then mix down in Pro Tools. And then when Ableton got good enough over the last like 5 years, I started, or maybe more than that, maybe like 7 years, I started doing everything in Ableton.
Yeah, I mean, Ableton, here in Chicago, a lot of people use Ableton. I personally use Logic just because I'm an Apple guy and it's easy to integrate. But, I mean, Ableton, from what I've heard, especially from a collaboration standpoint, working with other people who are in other DAWs, even Pro Tools, even Logic, of course, Ableton, like you said, it seems to be huge benefit because it has all of those core components. Like you said, yeah, I may not be able to mix the masters out the best, but in terms of collaboration, it's pretty easy from what I've heard.
Yeah, all the collaborations I've been doing recently, no one has Ableton. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I've just been getting like stems. I've been getting like just audio. And then I either recreate stuff or, you know, play stuff over the top. But yeah, it's rare that I do a track with someone and we're both in Ableton, like, you know, working the same, you know, Mac and Ableton, you know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you do collaborate with, you know, other producers, Glance, for example, are you in the studio with them, or just due to tour schedules, are you doing things separately? How does that exactly work from a collaboration standpoint?
For Love on Me, we worked remotely.
Right.
But then we've been working on some new stuff recently.
Awesome. I saw you were at the Brooklyn Mirage with them recently.
Yeah, I did a show with them in Brooklyn. That was sick. That was like a 5,000 person outdoor venue.
I was just there last weekend. What a crazy place.
Oh yeah, you went there? It's so good.
Yeah, like, you know, New York is such a crowded place, and to go into an open air venue like that in Brooklyn is very special.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite show with them. I've done a few shows with them, and that was a good one. A really, really amazing one. And then also, you know, a lot of their fans know my music too. You know, I think we've cross-pollinated or whatever the best way to describe it is. You know, like Love of Me, and then I did the Gold Dust remix. And for people that don't know, like Mike Snow is, you know, Christian from Galantis, so, you know, I did the mix for Mike Snow, and, you know, it's all kind of intertwined. But back to the original question, like the guys live in LA as well, so they came to the studio here, and we worked on a couple of things at my house in the studio here.
Of course. Are there any songs for you that stand out personally, whether it's an original remix or collaboration, that you're either most proud of or means the most to you?
I have to say the new stuff that I'm working on. I know that sounds like, you know, as soon as the song is out and I'm done with it, like not that I'm done, but it's like I'm constantly moving on to the new stuff. But honestly, man, I have I've been writing so much in the last few months that all this new music is the stuff that I'm most proud of, for sure. I feel like some special shit's about to happen.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's awesome. When can we expect something, if you can even reveal it yet?
I don't know if I can actually announce anything yet, but I've been working with Galantis on some things, and I've also been working with another artist who's an established artist, but he's doing a side project, and I'm going to be the first collaboration with him with his side project. So it'll be Hook featuring this guy. And yeah, I mean, then the rest are Hook originals. I'm trying to think a bunch of remixes I'm doing. I just finished a remix for Ava Max for her new single.
Oh, really? Which one?
I don't know if I can say the name of the single, but it's not out yet.
I'm trying to trick you. I'm sorry.
I don't think people know that. I don't think people know this song's coming out, but she's got a killer new single. So I just literally sending off the master like today or tomorrow.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. That's. I mean, you've done so many remixes that, in one way or another, like Axl remix Tokyo by Night. I mean, how does that work for kind of getting your name out there? It's kind of a two-way street, right? Like Ava Max is going to share that. You'll share her music.
Yeah, I mean, the Axl thing was a huge boost for me. It was, getting like someone like Axe picking up your record and being in love with it so much that he wants to remix it is a huge deal, especially for like when I was, at that point I just moved to the States and I was like, am I doing the right thing or so yeah, he was that was a really cool experience. And I saw him at Tomorrowland actually a couple of years ago, and he's always like, yo, I love that new thing that you did, and I'm like, yo, I love that thing that you did. He's just a fucking great guy. Like, he's a genuine, talented DJ and producer. Like, seriously good DJ and an amazing producer.
Yeah, he is. He's nuts.
Definitely there's no ghost writing when it comes to Axl, and there's no ghost producing when it comes to his DJ sets. Like, that's, I feel like there's a lot of that shit going on in the industry right now, but for him, like, it's all him. He's super talented and deserves all the success that he has. I
mean, he's got that sound, and I think you and him have a lot of similarities how your sound has grown. It's kind of just continued to evolve. The more you make, like you said, like you work on a song for so long, and I feel like kind of that producer's ear mindset, right? You're like, I can't hear this kick again. I feel like it's starting to sound bad. I got to get this out, and then you're on to the next one, and then you learn from that, and then you're on to the next one. Yeah, it's a constant
evolution. Like you never achieve. You never come to the end of the road. You're constantly learning, and the sooner you realize that, like, the better producer you'll become.
Yeah, of course. And with the better producer, like yourself, you get the shows, and you've had so many amazing sets, man. I mean, you played in Ibiza, Future Music Festival, Stereosonic, Beyond Wonderland, just to name a few. Are those, I mean, is that kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, the reward you feel? Or is it, hearing feedback from fans, on Instagram or online in some way? What's the best part for you?
The shows are definitely a really, like, it's a quick fix. It's a quick hit, like.
Yeah.
I'd play a new song and then people would just, the drop would hit and everything, and it just works. And that for me is like, oh, yeah. And, and then the slower kind of response is, putting a song out and, reading the comments. Like, someone would post on their story like that, say my Robin Schultz remix or whatever, and I'd be like, oh damn, that dude's definitely into that mix. Like, I see someone dancing around, in their car to it, and that kind of like happens, 3-4 weeks after it's come out, which for me is like 3 months maybe after I've done it. So it's a slower burn. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the reaction. Like, I do get caught up so much in your own like studio world that you kind of but you kind of tune out like how it affects people. I kind of forget how other people respond to music. It's a weird thing.
Electronic music especially too. I mean, how much it's grown in the past decade, right? Like what it means to people and just the industry that it started from it, the whole festival world, the club world, all that type of stuff. In the United States, it's grown so much, but I feel like we're seeing another turn, so to speak, just from my perspective as a DJ. I'm 27. I've been DJing for 5 years, so, not nearly in the same league as you. But what I notice is, people kind of wanting the next step. And from someone like yourself who's really moved the needle over the past 10 years, what do you think the next decade holds for electronic music?
I think it's up and going now. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, EDM's dead, or house music, like, it's the same. House music is disco, and disco died. Like, those people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because we're in uncharted territory. Like, this is the beginning of, this could be a huge electronic movement that's going to last it's just a new genre of music. And not I mean genre, like it's a bigger than a genre. It's a lifestyle for people. So I think it's just going to be like this movement that keeps evolving. I mean, now house music, you see a lot of like trap and bass guys playing house music, and I'm like, all right, cool. They were the guys that were like paying out fucking house DJs for playing like bass music in their sets like 3 years ago.
Right.
It's a fucking cycle, man.
It absolutely is.
But I feel like it's here to stay. Like it's not like disco. It's not like it's not a fad. It's definitely firmly planted in the zeitgeist. Is that the right word?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of who we are now.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I mean, most people have their 9-to-5ers, so to speak, and then, you know, when they get done with work for the weekend, they want to go and they want to listen to music.
Absolutely.
And that's our job, right? That's our job to give them that release. And we get the benefit of giving them that experience and that feeling. But, look, I want to ask you something, too. And it's just about overcoming obstacles from someone like you who's had some ups and downs. You know, you took a chance. You moved to L.A.
Yeah.
You went for it. You were, you know, doing your thing in Australia. I mean, it sounded like you were a graphic designer, so you had a job, right? Like a day job?
When I moved to the States?
Well, before then. So when you were living in Australia, before you.
When I was living in Australia, I was DJing like full time. I was, you know, touring but then I had a record deal in Australia that was a pretty shitty deal. Like I was stuck in Australia with that deal. Like I love those guys, but it just wasn't right for me, and I couldn't release music outside of Australia, and they weren't really helping me do that. And I had my sights set on, you know, releasing my music worldwide. So as soon as I got out of that deal in 2011, it was like a move for me to be like, okay, cool, I want to see what else is out there.
Yeah, of course. Was that a personal and professional obstacle you overcame? I mean, how did you get through that?
Sure, man. Yeah, it was tough. Like I moved to the States and took a huge chance. You know, I packed my suitcase with my girlfriend at the time and thought maybe I'd be over here for 6 months. But I DJ'd my ass off, like, and I became a better producer and DJ for it. Like, just getting out there and pushing I moved over here even before my manager moved over here. I was like, dude, I'm going. And he had like 2 young kids at the time, my manager. And he got up and left. And not got up and left, but he picked his family up, and he now lives in LA too. So it was just something that I had the urge to do, and I don't want to say it paid off, because that's not really like, it's not like I gambled and, you know, everything came up nicely. Like, it was more that I put myself in a situation where I had to become a better DJ and producer. Otherwise, I just go back home.
Yeah. I mean, you went for it. You took that chance. I think that's kind of the thing about the modern age. This decade is, you know, people knowing that, oh, this isn't my only chance to try and go for something, right?
Yeah. I feel like, you know, life is there's no made it, you know, in life. It's not like, oh shit, you know, I have a house in LA and I made it. You know, there's no such thing, like, because, you know, life is this constant journey, and, you know, tomorrow, like, everything could change, but that's not me losing stuff. It's just me evolving into something else. I don't know. I suppose I've become a bit more wise to that in the last few years, like trying to figure out what all this shit's all about, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all that outdoors you're getting is helping you a lot too.
Yeah.
There's a John Lennon quote that I really like, and it's, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. And it kind of seems like, you know, what you're saying to an extent. And I fully believe in that. I mean, you want to plan for the future, but like you said, you have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. So all you can do is take it moment by moment and work as hard as you can and be happy.
Yeah, not be too hard on yourself. I mean, I've learned that lesson, like, constantly, you know, comparing myself to other artists, and that only gets you so far. And then you have to become your own person and your own artist and your own what's the word? I suppose artist is the best word.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of climb that ladder, and then once you kind of poke your head through the clouds, you're like, okay, well now it's time for me to do me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do it to try and be better than somebody else, because then you lose track and lose sight of who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's very wise. I'm learning some shit right now, man. I'm writing all this down. Listen, I know you're busy. I want to ask you, are there any up-and-coming producers on your radar that, you know, we should let the listeners keep an eye out for?
Yeah, lots. I mean, I'm fans of, like, you know, guys like Codeco. Even like Shindo, this kid Shindo, who won like a remix competition that we did for Love on Me with Galantis. His stuff is really sick too.
Those remix competitions have been amazing for some people.
Yeah, I mean, I've done like a few of those now with my releases over the last like 2 years.
It's good exposure for your music too.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of people are, you know, keen to like remix and re-edit, and yeah, it's been really good. I also want to mention that I have a new single coming out on Spinnin' next month, which I can now talk about because we've set a release date.
What's it called?
It's called Superstars, and it's coming out on September 6th.
September 6th.
Yeah.
On Spinnin'.
Yeah, it's coming out on Spinnin', and it's going to be more of a club record. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's the next thing. That's the next thing coming out. Like, it kind of picks up where Turn 'Em Young kind of left off.
Okay. I follow.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're so excited to hear your set on Saturday. Like I said, man, this is going to be a great time for you. It's more of an intimate setting, so I know you're going to enjoy it. And I'll be on right before you, too, so I'll make sure to warm up the text for you.
All right, bro. I appreciate it, man. Well, looking forward to meeting on the weekend. Is it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay, cool.
I think I know your flight schedule and you do.
Don't worry, dude. Flights are booked. It's all set. I'm just
all right, good. I'll screenshot it to you. I'll be your
okay.
Good deal, man. Well, I appreciate you making some time. Like I said, I'm extremely honored and humbled to have you on, and you're the man, and we're so pumped to see you Saturday.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.